Let's talk to two more people. We're joined now as well by Lloyd Figgins, who's an expert in travel risk. I wonder if I can put one of our viewers' questions to you. Carly says, my daughter flew out to Spain on Saturday with her father. When she returns, she'll have to come back to me. So will I have to quarantine as well? What's the answer there?
Well, that's a very good question. And really what you need to be looking at is making sure that when you do get home, that you're not putting yourself or others in harm's way. So that might mean that you have to, if you're living with somebody who is in a high risk category or in a vulnerable group, then you're going to have to look at somewhere else to actually stay, because what you don't want to do is, if you're at risk, is put other people at risk as well. It's a really, really rocky point. And the thing is with all of this is it's a very, very fluid situation, and it is going to continue to be very fluid, and it is going to change, as we've just seen with the advice on the Canary Islands and the Balearic Islands.
Interesting to talk more about that, because I think many people were hoping that decision would go the other way and that actually the Canaries and the Balearics would be opened up to visitors.
Yeah, and it did shock me, actually. I thought that when you look at the infection rates in both groups of islands, they are incredibly low. But we've got to have a look at why the government is making these decisions. These are risk-based decisions. And the whole process of actually managing COVID-19 has got to take a risk management approach. There is no point whatsoever taking emotional or commercial-based decisions during a time of crisis. They simply do not work. So you have got to go on what evidence is available to you, and you have to act upon that. Otherwise, it's a case of shutting the stable door after the horse has bolted.
Quite a specific question that I think you might be able to help with, Lloyd. This is from Phil. He's asking, will those returning be able to get public transport and taxis home from the airport?
Well, the advice would be, and I mean, this was the advice before the air corridor was opened up, is that you wouldn't be able to. Now, this is where the PCR swab tests might come in quite handy. And these are a lot more available nowadays than they were previously. So there's two types of tests. You've got your antibody test, which will let you know whether or not you've had the virus. But the PCR swab test is something that will let you know if you've actually got the infection now. And we saw a few weeks ago that Colin Cern and Swissport, the ground handlers, were actually proposing to the government that they have these tests available actually at the airports, and they're still waiting on the green light for that to happen. And I think that would go a long way to helping people when they get on the aircraft and then potentially on public transport or in a taxi.
Well, many questions to be answered there, but thank you, Adele, Edwin Lammerton and Lloyd Figgins, for joining us.